Welcome to the Trading with Venus podcast, where we help you establish strong trading habits, generate consistent profits, and create the lifestyle you desire for yourself and your family. Now your host, Raman Gill.
Welcome to Trading with Venus podcast, episode 24. I am Raman Gill. Today, it is my pleasure to welcome Michael Harding from Academy of Financial Markets. Michael is a highly regarded trader, author, and coach from Toronto, Ontario. Michael began trading the financial markets in 2008, a year that was extremely devastating for many market participants. Michael's past experiences contribute to his disciplined approach, knowing that anything can happen at any moment and risk management should never be overlooked. Today, Michael is recognized by many as Pip Ninja on risk management, scalping, and position management. Michael's core dedication, passion, and focus has been to study and master the art of price action trading. Michael's current activities include trading Forex, equities, and CFDs, as well as providing coaching for aspiring traders. Welcome, Mike, to the show. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today and sharing your thoughts with us.
Hi, you're welcome.
So to start things off, can you tell us a bit about yourself, because we'd love to get to know you personally.
Okay, well, I've been trading full-time since 2008, so roughly 8 years now. And I started out by, I had another small tech company in downtown Toronto, and I was sharing it with someone that taught how to trade stocks. And so he would teach his program in the evenings around 6, and all his students would come in, and sometimes I would still be completing some of the work that I was working on during the day. And so as his students came in and started sitting down and he would start giving his lectures, I would sort of tune into what he was teaching, and over time I ended up learning a lot from his course that he was teaching, just simply because we were sharing offices. And so that's really how I got started, I think, more on a professional level. Prior to that, I was, interested in stocks and trading. I just really had an interest in it, but I wasn't actually making any sort of successful trades, or I wasn't doing it for a living or anything at that point. So the whole once I was sharing the office with this gentleman, he sort of really got me off the ground and got me really into it. And so it was a few months afterwards that I managed to save up a couple $1,000s. So at the time for me it was quite a bit. But so I had an office right downtown in Toronto, and my broker that he introduced me to is called CMC Markets, and they have an office on Adelaide and Bay Street. And after I saved up my first $2,000 for a live trading account, I literally ran over to CMC Markets, and I spoke with a gentleman named Michael Chang, and I said, Michael, I'm now ready to get started on my live trading account. Here's a check for $2,000. And I was so excited that I literally ran back, or I sort of jogged back to the office. And as soon as I got back into the office, I was actually looking at a stock called Citigroup. And Citigroup at the time was quite low, and I ran back because I wanted to buy in at a really low price, and so as I'm running back, and I got back into the office, I sat down on the computer, I opened up the software, and I pressed buy because it was still at a really good price, and instantly my account went from $2,000. It probably went up a couple $100 almost instantly. And I thought I was the king of trading. and so I sort of sat back and just watched it, and it went from, so it was up 200, then it's up 300, and now it's up $400, and I'm just sitting back enjoying this. And all of a sudden it went from, I was up about $600, and it then went down to 20. So now my account's at 25, then went down to 24, and then it instantly dropped below 2,000. And then that's when I started to sort of panic. And then within seconds, it went from 2,000 down to 1,400. And oh
no!
Yeah, I stood up. Mind you, this is in 2008. So
Mm-hmm.
So I stood up, and I couldn't believe what was going on. I thought there was a glitch in the system, and so I'm pressing the close button. I'm trying to close the trade, and then because I'm new to trading, I didn't even fully understand how to use the software. I thought I was buying more positions. I just got really frustrated, and finally the trade closed out, and I was at $1,200 in my account. So I lost $800. So I blew out half of my account in the very first day of trading, and so I thought there was a glitch. I called CMC Markets, and I couldn't get through. It was busy. I hung up, called again. It was still busy. Finally, I got through, and it was the very same day of the major financial crisis in 2008. Was the very same day that I actually opened up my my first trading account. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, it really scared me. I didn't know what to do. I was really stressing out. My business partner at the time, he saw me stood up from my computer, and he came over and he said, "What's going on?" And I said, I just lost half of my account, and like I was like yelling, and it wasn't a good scene. So he took me out in the hallway. He's like, "Mike," he's like, well, you can't be yelling in the work office like that. And he's like, "What are you doing trading?" So yeah, I ended up closing it. I was just really stressed out over it. It was a big moment in my life. I think a lot of others that would get into that sort of situation, they would just quit, or they would say, "You know what, this isn't for me." But that's one of the things that separated me from a lot of others is the fact that I just wouldn't ever give up. And you make mistakes, and you learn from them, and that's what's more important than anything. Especially starting out. That's sort of how I got into it. And I've been trading ever since. I made, many mistakes along the way. I sort of learned everything not to do. And after learning what not to do, then you see where you can make successful trades consistently.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You started off in a similar way to I did. You have an IT background. I actually ran an IT consulting company for 10 years before I got into this.
Really? Oh.
Yeah. And it was just through someone else for me, it was somebody had introduced me this as an investment, which of course I went and immediately lost $10,000 in. Well, not immediately,
right,
but
yeah.
I put it into there. I was supposed to get 84% return, right. And it never materialized. And then they got audited by SEC and whatnot, and never saw that money ever again. But we have similar backgrounds in them, and similar stories.
Oh, yeah?
So in terms of after this first experience, so tell me a bit more about, was there ever a point where you felt like you had actually failed in trading? Did you take more poor trades after that, or did it just work out for you?
The point when I wouldn't exactly consider it failure, only because I got back up and I continued and I learned from my mistakes, and I wouldn't give up. I knew there's potential in trading, and I said to myself, starting out, if anyone can do it, I can do it. And so that's the sort of motivation that I had, that I just wouldn't give up. And if I kept making mistakes, I need to keep learning from those mistakes, or I need to learn more, or I need to just simply just analyze differently, take on different risks, different approaches, look at things differently. My perspective of the market starting out was nowhere near what it is today. I had thoughts about brokers and how the market operates, and over time, after trading for years, you really start to see things differently. Sorry, back to the question. I would always make mistakes, and I still make mistakes. No one's perfect, but what's more importantly than anything when it comes to trading and making mistakes is that you're managing your risk.
In terms of, so you talked about mistakes. In terms of some of those challenges that you have faced in your journey to becoming consistently profitable, what were some of those challenges, and how did you overcome those challenges, and what advice would you give someone who's going through something similar?
Okay, so starting out, when you start reading books on trading or watching videos, you're getting tips from other traders. Sometimes you don't always know who to listen to, unless there's like a really big name and you've been following this sort of trader for years, and you're really confident in this trader. But when you're starting out, you don't really know a whole lot of successful traders, and so you're listening to their strategies, you're testing them out, but at times you also kind of want to go against what they're saying at times, because you think, this is one of the misperceptions that I had was, I'm hearing that, once I make a trade, the broker's placing a trade against me, or if someone's giving me buying clues or buying signals, maybe they're looking to sell. So, there was a lot of strategies that I really didn't I listened to them, but I always wanted to challenge them. I wasn't sure if the trades would actually work. So, for example, everyone always teaches you to put in a stop loss. So I would trade and I would put in a stop loss, and there would be times when I would get stopped out and then the trade would go in the direction that I wanted to. And if I just, either moved my stop loss up a little bit, or if I didn't even have any stop loss in place at all, that trade would have worked out. And so then, one of the biggest challenges that I had as a trader was, knowing where to put in my stop loss, being confident in my trades, being confident in my technical analysis, being confident in my support and resistance. And, if I were now when I trade, if I get stopped out, it's like a warning. It's a warning, sort of sit back and reanalyze, go for a walk, clear your thoughts. And one of the biggest obstacles that I had was sometimes I just wouldn't even put in a stop loss. And then when I'm in the minus and the trade's not working out, the biggest challenge is closing the trade, because you have the thought of, as soon as I close the trade, then that position is a loss. So, for example, if you're in a losing trade and you're down a couple $1,000, you're saying to yourself, wow, this is money that took me all week to make, and with one single trade, I'm going to lose my entire profit for the entire week. Should I close this trade? And you don't want to close it, because you don't want to be confronted with the fact that you just lost your entire week of work. So you would hold on to it, and then if it's at negative 2,000 and then it goes down to negative 1,800, again, you have the thought: do I close it? Do I hold it? What do I do? And so then what happens is, if you don't close it at 1,800, either it could drop in your favor, or it will go the other way, and you can be you could be at a bigger loss, like a negative 3,000. So and as you keep watching it, it's very difficult to sort of step away from the computer and not watch it. When you're down a significant amount, all you want to do is just watch it. And the more you watch it, the more you're going to get emotional, the more frustrated you're going to be. And, and then eventually you're just going to make an irrational decision. Either you're going to close it, or, you'll hold on to it. But if you do decide to close it, another obstacle is now you're you instantly just want to make that money back. You're regretting that you made the mistake to begin with, and now you're just looking for a trade to simply, you just want to make that money back. That's all you care about at this point. And so then you'll get into another trade when you don't have enough confirmations. You're not doing your due diligence. You're not doing your research. You're just simply getting into a trade because you're frustrated that you lost on the last one and it was a big loss. And then sometimes what ends up happening is you lose again. So the whole and this is a position that you just don't want to be in. And so that was one of the biggest obstacles that I had was, if I'm not putting in a stop loss, will I actually be able to close this trade if it goes against me? And so that is one of the difficult things that I think a lot of traders are faced with today as well. same, even a bunch of newcomers that I'm dealing with, they say the same thing. They say, I don't want to put in a stop loss because what if it just, if I'm about to get stopped out and then, the trade goes the other way and it would have been profitable. But I really encourage everyone to always put in a stop loss. By putting in a stop loss, you're setting yourself up for not getting emotional, because you're saying to yourself that, I accept that I can lose this much before I get into a trade. I accept it. I accept I can make some profit on this trade, but also I accept that if the trade doesn't work out, this is how much I can make. And you're not always going to be right with your trades, but what's important is that if you're wrong with your position, that you're wrong early on, and that trade doesn't turn into a big loss.
Mike, that is such an important lesson that you've just shared with us, because I have gone through similar stuff. I have blown actually many an account just doing just that.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
You either don't have a stop loss, because every time you put a stop loss, it gets hit.
Right.
Or you keep moving it, and then at the end, you just don't have it there. And I have sat through accounts going, 20 pips against me, and then 100, and then 200 till the account's all blown, right? Yeah. So that is a tough lesson. I absolutely agree with you. That's a lesson that all of us need to keep in mind, especially for the newer traders. For some of us who have come this far, we have gone through similar struggles and come out on the other side. But thank you so much for bringing that up, because that is actually my biggest challenge that I deal with. And sometimes I get into revenge trading because your stop gets hit and then it goes the other way, right? It goes 100
revenge
pips in your
trading,
direction.
that's it, yeah.
And you're out there trying to get your money back. And I agree with you. Go take a walk,
yes,
right?
exactly.
Just walk away. It's better to. And also another thing I noticed is when you're sitting in a negative position, you are losing out on the good opportunities that are setting up, good trade setups that may be present, because you can't take it because you're in a losing trade. And if especially in Canada here, we don't have a lot of margin. So if you're in that sort of position where you have no more margin to trade,
yeah, exactly.
The opportunity cost is huge as well.
Yes.
Not being able to trade. It's easy to get over that loss if you just walk away, come back with your, mind back on track and go actually look at the market with better mindset and then go back to work essentially. Right?
Yes.
But if you just sit in that position, one, you get upset like you said, right? Every day you're looking at that position, you're getting mad at yourself, at the world, at everything else, at the brokers. And then there's an opportunity cost as well. So I absolutely agree. Have a stop in there. And if you're stopped out, reassess.
Yes, exactly. Reassess, or just simply, sometimes it's just a fundamental marketplace. Sometimes technical analysis is just blown out the window. Sometimes like when you're drawing in support and resistance levels, those levels are just getting blown away. And so, if you put in a stop loss, sometimes, you have to understand when I sort of look at it like sharks are sort of, in the marketplace and cleaning out all the fish. And, you sort of have to know when the sharks are coming around. And, putting in a stop loss prevents that from happening. There are weeks sometimes. For example, the last couple months, the third week of every month, it just seems that it's just a pure fundamental marketplace. And so, like, if I just didn't even trade that week, or if I had a stop loss and I knew, the markets are going to be extremely volatile, I'm just going to get stopped out, just not trade at all, just watch, see how the markets digest the information or the panic or the fear that's going on. For example, a couple weeks ago there was the whole Brexit thing with the UK, and that really killed the pound. And if you're trading the pound, if you're trading sterling, pound USD, it was at a very low level. And so you're thinking, well, this might be my golden opportunity to start buying this. So then you start buying it, but if you don't put in your stop loss, then the whole Brexit thing comes out, and you'd be sitting at a major loss there. So the one thing that I constantly keep reminding myself of is that anything that can happen will happen. I don't try to pick bottoms. I don't try to pick tops. Just because GBP USD is around 140, that, which is extremely low considering that it used to be trading up in the 160s. So it's down 2,000 pips. Just because GBP USD is at 140 doesn't mean that it's not going to go any lower. And so it's the same sort of scenario with oil as well. I remember oil used to be around $80 a barrel, and everyone was like, "Oh no, oil can't go any lower than $80. They'll have to shut down the refineries. They're not going to be profitable anymore." So a lot of traders, they didn't put in a stop loss at $80. Or what they would do is they would use the strategy called averaging down. So as oil fell, they would keep adding to their position. But there's no confirmation whatsoever that it's bottoming. There's no confirmation of like a rounding bottom or a major declining level of resistance starting to break. And so oil just kept falling. And unfortunately, I'm convinced that there are probably a lot of investors or traders out there that were investing in oil around $80, and they unfortunately they probably use that strategy, averaging down. So what I always recommend now is just simply waiting for confirmations, waiting for really good levels, but also always putting in a stop loss, because you never know what could happen. Oil went down to into the $20 range. So always put in a stop loss, even if you think it's a bottom. It's better to be stopped out early on and take a hit. And, like I said, it's sort of a warning, something's going on. I need to reanalyze. I need to step back. I need to look at this again. I need to look at the bigger picture. Maybe I'm just focusing in on, a 1 hour chart. Maybe I need to see what's going on a larger time frame. Or maybe I need to tune into something that's going on fundamentally that I'm just completely unaware of. So always put in a stop loss, So that's the biggest recommendation that I can give anyone.
So was there a point that you arrived at where you thought this was your, you had it, what you were doing, and it was your aha moment?
My aha moment was probably when I was managing another account, a significant account, and I lost a large portion of it. And I lost a large portion of it simply with just 5 trades. 5 trades. All my other trades were good. I'm making a trade, locking in 10 pips, making a trade, locking in 20 pips. And then I wouldn't put in a stop loss, and then I would lose 300 pips. Or I would lose 400 pips. So my aha moment was just simply when I was looking at my account history, and I'm like, how the heck did I just lose so much? Like, I'm a good trader, but how did I just blow out so much money? And I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at my losing trades, and there was no stop loss. So, it's just like I keep reminding myself how important it is to manage risk. Risk is more important than making profit. Protecting your account is more important than losing on trades. There was a saying by Robert Kiyosaki. He said, it's not about how much money you make, it's about how much money you save. Well, with trading, it's not about how much money you or how many winning trades you have. It's about how many losing trades you don't have.
Absolutely. Actually, it's funny. We are so very similar. The first account that I ever managed for someone, I just blew it. And it was just like that. I had so many winning trades, and then you just hit that one trade that you don't take a loss on, and it just, it gets exaggerated, and you just make more mistakes. It's just a, slippery slope after that.
Yeah, exactly.
So was there a person in your life that had a tremendous impact on you as a trader? And how did this person, impact your journey?
Yeah, so Well, during my sort of early stages of trading, so the instructor that I learned from while I was sharing an office, he was the one that really got me into trading. But then he was teaching stocks, and so I specialize in Forex trading now. And so I sort of ventured off into Forex just because of the leverage. That was one of the things that really attracted me to Forex trading. And I didn't really have any sort of mentors at the time. But there was a website that I was following. I just stumbled upon it. It was called FX Times. And there was two traders on that site. One, his name was Nick Nassad, and there was another one named Fan Yang. And so Fan Yang was chief technical analysis, and Nick was chief fundamental analysis. So the two, it was a great match. And so I always followed this guy named Fan Yang, and there was times when I thought, I like I'm not making much trading. I also had other obligations at the time, so I wasn't putting in my full energy or my full focus into trading. And but Fan Yang, he was always following the markets. And there's a big saying that a lot of people that get into trading, they fail and they don't pursue it. But I always followed Fan, and over the years, he just kept trading and following the markets, and he would always send signals and he would write his commentary. And I said to myself, if Fan can do it, I can do it, right? So definitely Fan Yang. He's definitely one of my mentors that I always follow. You can actually check him out now. He has his own website called whotrades.com, and just look for Fan Yang on there, and you'll be able to find him.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, we'll link to that website in the show notes. Now, is there a successful habit that you believe has contributed to your trading success?
Definitely meditation. Being focused and clear-minded and researching. I actually wrote down just recently sort of like trade rules. I know everyone has their own trade rules, but one of my quick sort of approaches to trading, it's called the 6 R's. And so the 6 R's include risk. What is your risk? What is your reward, or risk to reward ratio? Have you done your research? Are you rational? And is it the right timing? Is this the right timing? So do you have the patience? Have you been patiently waiting for this trade to move in the direction that you want it to? And it needs to approach a level where you're comfortable with the amount of risk that you're willing to put in. So for example, myself, I'm only comfortable risking 20, 30 pips at most for any given trade. So if I'm watching a pair and I'm asking myself, well, if I'm going to buy this right now and I risk 20, 30 pips, is there a chance that I could get stopped out? Or what is the probability of me getting stopped out? So like I like to get into a trade where it's more likely that the trade's going to work out in my favor, and I put in a stop loss 20, 30 pips. And that all comes down to just patiently waiting, mapping out some trade plans, mapping out some scenarios. If this happens, then I do that. Or if this happens, then I do this. So, it's just waiting for the market to move in the direction that you want it to, and then, either scaling in or executing a trade, putting in your stop. So patience is definitely number one.
It sounds good. I really like actually those rules that you have, and they are some of my rules as well. I am a big believer in the 20-30 pip stop loss as well, yeah. And I sometimes get slammed for it because
it's okay though,
But you know what? Yeah, it is, yeah. Because at least you're out then,
exactly.
And you can re-enter
right.
if the trade sets up again.
That's right. Yeah.
Perfect. So besides the resource, the website that you mentioned, your mentor, is there another resource that you find really helpful in your trading, and would you recommend that to our listeners?
Well, definitely. I used to always follow Daily FX or Forex Crunch or a bunch of other websites out there that have, traders that are constantly providing daily market commentary. I think it's important to find a trader that you can relate to and has similar trading techniques or trading styles as your own, and just constantly follow him. Like in terms of any sort of website or resources out there, I would just stick to Daily FX. Daily FX is a great site. I always go on that site just simply for the economic calendar. I don't really go on there and see their commentaries or their trade plans. I just simply do my own. I think isolating yourself sometimes as well as a trader is very beneficial. Sometimes there's a lot of noise. There's some traders that are saying, "Oh, buy this," and then there's other traders that are saying, "Sell this." So you just don't really know who to listen to. So I don't exactly want to give any recommendation of who to follow. I think what's more important is practicing a lot on your own, building your own self-confidence, drawing out your own support and resistance, and just doing your own analysis. And if you're wrong, so what? Get stopped out, reanalyze, try it again. Eventually, you'll know your support and resistance levels. You'll know, how much profit you can potentially take on any given trade. And if you just simply watch the markets, and you draw out support and resistance levels, you can see if you're right, because if those levels are tested again and there's a bounce, that you're looking at something that other traders are probably looking at as well. So I would really just recommend just isolating yourself, just focusing, practicing, and sticking to your own trade plans. But more importantly, just definitely sticking to a plan and know your risk.
And this is something that most traders don't want to hear, because everybody wants that holy grail. But just drawing support and resistance lines, especially when they're at good levels, they're good support and resistance lines, they work.
They work.
There's usually a reaction there. So
absolutely.
Perfect. So if you could do your trading journey all over again, knowing all that you know now, what would you do differently?
Well, I probably would have focused more and put more energy into trading. Like I said, so I had an IT business, so I was running the IT business, but also I was trading. So my energy was in a few places at once. And I found when I started just focusing on trading, putting in my all, treating trading like it's a job, treating trading like it's a business or a full-time career, that's when things really started to improve. When, I had all these distractions, I just started to eliminate all the distractions, think clearly, was able to focus, and so I think just having so many obligations and so many things on the go can be distracting when you're starting out. And I understand that's the situation for a lot of newcomers, because either working full time, they have a 9-to-5 job, or they're in school, or they just simply don't have enough energy when they get home from whatever activities they're doing throughout the day. But if you can find some time, really put in 100% and build your self-confidence. If you can just simply do it 1 or 2 days a week starting out, and just focus on it, treat it like it's a business. If you were to treat trading like a business, how would you do it? And so if you just do that for a few days a week and you start building up your confidence, then you can start deciding if trading is right for you, and if you want to pursue it full time.
Yeah, that's very sound advice, Mike. Now, in closing, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way to reach you?
Best way to reach me is just send me an email. My email is m.harding@torontoforex.com. You can also reach me through the website, which is www.torontoforex.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Mike, for sharing your thoughts with us, sharing some of your experiences with us, and leaving us with all these valuable lessons.
Great. Thanks, Raymond. It was a pleasure being on the show.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
We were just chatting with Michael Harding from Academy of Financial Markets. Michael shared with us his experiences in trading and the lessons he's learned during his trading journey. Hope you enjoyed the show. For show notes for this episode, please visit tradingwithvenus.com/podcast episode 24. Once again, thank you so much for joining me today. You guys are wonderful. Have an awesome rest of the week, and I will see you next time.
If you want consistency in your trading, we invite you to join our daily market analysis calls, where we provide the levels to find the best entries and targets on an intraday basis. For a 1-week free trial, please visit www.tradingwithvenus.com. Thanks for joining us today. With much gratitude, your show host, Raman Gill.